I've always been disliked, yet I endured because I am a mother. As a mother, I believed it was my duty to protect my child until they become independent. Who are you? What's so on this day as Sam graduated from high school, I left my family because I've been trying so hard, no matter how much I was disliked, no matter how much I was resented. I kept telling myself it's because I'm a mother, a wife, that I have the duty to protect my child. But those days are over, and now I'm free from my family. It seems like Sam, on the other end of the phone, is stunned. This is the first time I've ever fought back after being constantly criticized, so he must be wondering what to do. But it doesn't matter anymore because we are no longer a family. My name is Maya, a 45-year-old housewife. I live with my husband Luke and our son Sam. Sam is 18 and graduating high school this year. Normally, this should be a cause for celebration, but I couldn't bring myself to be genuinely happy. The reason was Sam's attitude. "Hey, where's my shirt? You didn't steal it, did you?" One day while I was folding laundry in the living room, Sam approached me with these words. "I found his shirt in the basket. I'm sorry, here you go." When I handed it over, Sam snatched it as if showing anger. "You're really inefficient. Can't you put the shirt in my room while I'm sleeping? Don't make me ask for it." "I'm sorry, I just brought it in." His aggressive words tore at my heart. I could do nothing but apologize without any rebuttal. Satisfied with my response, he warned, "If you make me angry again, I won't forgive you. Next time, I'll kick you out of the family." And with that, he returned to his room. Sam's bad attitude started 13 years ago when he was only 5. One day, he suddenly started using foul language towards me. "That's not a nice word. Let's try to change that," I said. But Sam's tone only got worse over time. "Sam is a boy. It's just a phase. I went through it too," Luke would say when I consulted him. Indeed, boys sometimes mimic the slightly villainous characters they see in cartoons. So I decided to monitor and occasionally correct him without being too harsh. But as a result, Sam's behavior only worsened. Before I knew it, hearing "thank you" became rarer than his shouts. Having a decent conversation as a family became impossible. Time passed, and now Sam is 18. I learned from eavesdropping on a conversation between Sam and Luke 3 days ago that he's planning to go to college after high school graduation. He didn't consult me about his future plans at all, but Sam seemed to rely on Luke. Sam and Luke always got along well, often going out together. Maybe it's easier for men to talk to each other. I too wanted to be treated as a family member by Sam. I always wanted to live like a proper family. The fact that I couldn't was so painful, like my heart was tearing apart. It wasn't just Sam who pushed me away. Luke also despised me. "Mia, you're really stupid. Look, there's dust over there. Can't you do your job as a housewife properly?" Ever since Sam's attitude worsened 13 years ago, Luke's behavior towards me also became harsh. Originally, after we got married, we shared household chores. "Being a housewife doesn't mean you have to do all the housework," Luke used to say. After Sam was born, I realized how hard parenting was. There were far more times when things didn't go as planned, and I felt terribly down. Initially, Luke was active in parenting, but gradually he stopped intervening and even stopped helping with household chores. Talking to him meant facing implications that I wasn't trying hard enough, so consulting Luke never cleared my feelings. "You can't even clean properly. Really, you haven't grown at all as a wife over the years. Do you lack learning ability?" I'm sorry. I'll try harder. Please forgive me. Even though you say you'll try, you never improve. That's why you get scolded." Luke's words weighed heavily on my heart. It was stressful enough not being able to get along with Sam, but realizing that even Luke disliked me, didn't see me as a wife or part of the family, I felt like collapsing right there. I endured it for 13 years, no matter how close to breaking I felt. I was a mother, a wife. I kept telling myself I had to do what needed to be done, pushing myself to the limit. Even when I was too tired to move, I forced myself to stand and keep going. If I didn't, I feared I would truly become incapable of doing anything and become unnecessary to Luke and Sam. As time passed, Sam's high school graduation day approached, but I only learned the date 3 days before the ceremony. By the way, where did we store the clothes for the ceremony? One day while doing chores, Luke asked me this. The graduation ceremony is soon, isn't it? But I don't know the date yet. Has it been announced? To my words, Luke looked at me with pity. It seems you haven't heard from Sam. He told me about the graduation date a week ago. Once again, I was the only one left out. It was painful to face this reality, but it had been like this every day for the past 13 years. Unable to recover from the shock, I was looking down when Sam, who had no school that day, came out of his room. "What's with this mood? Don't spread your gloom to Dad, too." Sam glared at me as he said this, but it was Sam's fault in the first place. If he had told me about the graduation date, none of this would have happened. The graduation is in 3 days. I hear you didn't tell me. I asked Sam with a tone of accusation, and he sighed heavily as if I was a nuisance. So what? You're not going to the ceremony anyway. So why do you need to know the date? His words caught me off guard, and I asked, why? I never said I wasn't going to the ceremony. Sam responded, no, don't come. If an old broad like you shows up, you'll just make me the laughingstock. I can't stand the thought of you ruining my big day. His words made me dizzy. I had always genuinely celebrated Sam's academic achievements, even if I wasn't treated like family. I had continued to do so, but now I wasn't even allowed to attend his graduation ceremony. Stay away. Sam's words pierced my heart. It was clear now. I was nothing more than a nuisance to him, silenced by his harsh words. I realized my heart had reached its limit a long time ago, so I decided to end my role in this family on the day of Sam's high school graduation. Luke and Sam left for the ceremony. Luke had been told by Sam that he wanted him there. I was left behind. Before, I would have endured this reality, but those days are over now. As soon as they left, I packed my things and left the house. My destination was my parents' house. Convinced I could no longer live as part of Sam and Luke's family, I planned to take a break at my parents' house and prepare to sever ties with them. I left a letter at home. It mentioned considering a divorce, wanting to cut ties and live alone, desiring to discuss the details through a lawyer. Finding a reliable lawyer in 3 days was extremely challenging. There were many other things I had to do, like preparing to sell the house. The house we lived in was actually inherited from my father. My dad was quite a well-known wealthy businessman in a certain industry, owning several buildings as vacation homes. When we got married, Dad said, "This is a wedding gift," and gave us one of those vacation homes. Meaning the owner of that house was Dad, not Luke or me. Furthermore, knowing how cornered I've been, Dad would immediately decide to sell the house if he found out, saying, "Then that house is unnecessary." I wrote in the letter, "The house will be sold, so take whatever belongings you need and leave within a week." Dad called me kind for this, but I didn't want any complaints later like, "He didn't hear about this." For now, I decided to stay at my parents' house for a while, looking for a new job in a house while cutting ties with my family and healing from the wounds they inflicted. Honestly, it took a lot of courage to come this far. I think I could make this decision because Dad, upon hearing the story, got red in the face and angrily said, "How dare they treat you like that?" I realized again how much I owed to Dad. After such a day, I was relaxing at my parents' house when my mobile phone indicated an incoming call. I had a good idea who it was from, but I checked anyway, and sure enough, it was Sam. Maybe he called about my absence in the letter. To be honest, I didn't want to talk. I had spent too much time being treated as less than family. I wasn't generous enough to deal with Sam anymore. But I needed to settle the past. If I kept running away, I would live with an unresolved heart. I deserved to give back for the awful treatment I'd received. Hey, where are you? Do you think you can just leave a ridiculous letter and be forgiven? Where are you? Come back home right now. As soon as I answered the phone, Sam yelled loudly. His voice was tensed with panic, seemingly in a state of panic. Well, it's not surprising. He came back from the graduation ceremony to find that Mom, he had always paraded, was gone, replaced by a letter about selling the house and other distressing news. It must have ruined his graduation day, and I'm sure Sam was not pleased. Despite myself, I couldn't help smiling at Sam's desperation. But he was too caught up in his own anger to notice. So I responded to Sam, who are you? Sam seemed confused by my words, but soon he started laughing. Poor acting, trying to trap me like this, bad news. I don't think it'll work, stop pretending. You can't even live without relying on family. His words were unpleasant, but I noticed a slight tremble in his voice. Sam was also out of his depth. He was trying to blame, criticize, and panic me into coming back. Realizing this, I decided to respond calmly. I don't have a family, though. Oh, I have parents and a brother, right? But you're not my family, are you? What are you talking about, Mom? Me and Dad are your family, right? Have you lost your mind? So as I said, I don't have a family. I kept treating Sam as a stranger. Sam and Luke are not my family. If they were, they wouldn't have treated me that way. Family is supposed to support and help each other. If a family member is in trouble, it's the family's role to support them. Sam and Luke neglected that. They treated me terribly for 13 years, claiming it was normal. I'm surprised I lasted 13 years, but it was out of a sense of duty for having given birth to Sam. Even if I wasn't treated like family, the fact that I gave birth to Sam doesn't change the fact that I'm his mother by blood. It is unshakable. So I decided to wait until his high school graduation. I kept telling myself that it was the right time to cut ties with Sam. I even hoped if Sam changed his attitude towards me by graduation, I might abandon the idea and continue as a family. But Sam didn't meet that expectation. Recalling Sam's attitude 3 days before the graduation ceremony, it was clear. So I felt justified in taking an appropriate stance. Sam is no longer my family, so I don't owe him the treatment of one, continuing to treat him as a stranger. Sam finally seemed to understand my intentions and began to speak. Stop this pointless act already. We are family, aren't we? Parent and child, so please listen to me. What's with that letter? Are you serious about selling the house? That can't be true, right? Because you are our family, we're not family. What? He seemed anxious about the house being sold, but I was serious enough to leave that letter. Even if Sam begged, I had no intention of changing my mind. Please tell me it's a joke. If we lose that house, where will we live? I didn't even know it belonged to Grandpa. I always thought it was Dad's. I don't know what you're talking about. Please don't call again. I remained cold and distant. No matter how much he pleaded, I wouldn't indulge him anymore. As I persisted in acting like a stranger, Sam finally reached his limit and said, I'll hand it over to Dad, then called Luke over. After a while, Luke came on the phone. Mia, where are you? Leaving such a letter. Come back home now. Luke's voice was filled with anger. He must have been unable to accept what I did. Silent, Luke continued, Stop playing around. Do you think you can do this to your family and be forgiven? Luke was speaking rapidly, and I could hear Sam's voice in the background, encouraging him. Both seemed angrier than I thought, but it no longer mattered to me. I was no longer their family. Enough already. I am not your family, am I? After ignoring me as a family member for 13 years, you can't expect me to act like one now. My words were harsher than I expected. I couldn't forgive their selfish actions. I tried to be a family with them, but for 13 years they never treated me as one, always left out. How lonely and painful it was. How often I wished to be treated as family. That wish was never granted, but I couldn't easily give up. I endured for 13 years trying to make it work as a family, as Sam's mother, and this is the result. A dry laugh escaped me, thinking about this pathetic outcome. They never respected my feelings, never accepted them. No matter how much I cared for them, they never cared for me. Yet now, when it's inconvenient for them, they say we're family, something they never meant, trying to bring me back. The convenience of it all made me feel nauseous. Why did I endure for 13 years for these people? Even feeling responsible as a mother doesn't justify being treated like this. I regret not being kinder to myself. Could things have been different if I had been? Maybe there was a future where Sam, Luke, and I understood each other and were a happy family. But that's just a maybe. Now there's no future where that's possible because I no longer have any expectations or trust in Sam or Luke. Even if they apologize now, wanting to be a family, I would never think of trying again with them. Enough already. I'm not your family anymore. I'm a stranger. You treated me like one for 13 years, and now what? Come back because we're family. Talk it out. Did you really think I'd say okay? No way. I spoke impulsively, words I never would have uttered before, afraid of causing trouble. They kept flowing out, and I couldn't stop them. I don't want to hear your excuses. I can't trust anything you say anymore. I absolutely can't see us continuing as a family. Write up the divorce papers. If you don't want to file them, I will. So send them to me and leave the house quickly. You wouldn't want to trouble strangers, right? But stop making excuses and get ready. Give up. Goodbye. I cut off Luke even as he tried to say something because I didn't want to hear anything from Luke or Sam anymore. After saying what I wanted, I hung up the phone. Luke was saying, "Wait," but I ignored him. Then I blocked all calls from Luke and Sam, ignoring their persistent attempts to contact me. Even the home phone rang, but with my parents' permission, I made sure no calls from Luke or Sam could come through. Thus, I finally managed to cut ties with the family that had made my life miserable for 13 years. They tried to reach me through friends, but I kept hiding, avoiding any contact with them. Eventually, the divorce from Luke was finalized. Despite his repeated pleas of not wanting a divorce, he signed the papers without resistance. When it came to court, the house being Dad's property was sold, and they had to leave. A friend told me that after the incident with me, they started fighting incessantly. Luke couldn't manage finances, leading to Sam's college fees being unpaid, and Sam had to give up his academic path and start working. As a result, Sam quit studying, and Luke quit his job in shock. They now live in an old apartment, seemingly withdrawn. They're still looking for me, but I have no intention of ever showing my face to them again. Meanwhile, I found a job and moved out of my parents' house. Having experience as an office clerk before marriage, I managed well in my new job. Soon after, I found a new place, thanked my parents who had helped me so much, and moved out. It's a room in an apartment not too far from my parents' house. In my new home, I'm living happily now. Frankly, having no good memories of my family, I think I don't need anything like a family for a while. Being alone in this day and age is perfectly fine. So I plan to live a relaxed life on my own.